Kia ora, Nick. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much.
Excellent. Where are you joining us from?
From home, from my study.
Excellent. And where's home?
Home is in Speargrass Flat, just between Arrowtown and Queenstown.
Very nice, very nice.
But the family does have an historical cottage in Wanaka. Dates back to the 1930s, stone one on Lakeside Drive.
Oh, lucky you. So what made you decide to run, Nick? You're, just for listeners, you're running for a mayoral position, and there are 5 of you running for the mayoral candidate's position. So what made you decide to run?
I believe that the council can do a way better job than it's been doing for quite a number of years. I think that the growth at all costs agenda was something that I was never very comfortable with. And I feel that I have the leadership skills and the experience that the community needs to really get some significant changes made, both at the district level and get some runs on the board in Wellington. I mean, that's my greatest strength, really.
Okay. So just maybe expand on that greater strength that you're referring to there.
Well, I spent more than 2.5 decades in Wellington in the public sector. And this augments my experience of the private sector. So I spent 12 years in the private sector here in Queenstown, but that 25 years in Wellington teaches you an awful lot about how to get stuff done there. I've been a senior negotiator for the New Zealand government for years and years, decades. And there's no doubt about it that many of the things that we need to have done as strategic objectives in this district need cooperation in Wellington, and we're just not getting it. We're not getting it on healthcare and infrastructure funding and on roading. I reckon we need a solid senior negotiator who can get stuff done in Wellington, and I'm confident that I'm probably, I am the best candidate for that position.
Okay. So you ran once before. Just tell us a little bit about that.
In 2019, I stood for mayor when Jim Bolt was the incumbent. And I did that because we weren't seeing any other serious candidacies. I felt that we needed to have a really significant debate about polluting the waterways in particular, which is the direction that the Bolt mayoralty was taking us in, and I was trying to resist that. I thought we needed to have a debate about that and a number of other very important issues, and we weren't going to get it unless we had somebody who had the intellectual capacity and experience to debate significant issues on a stage in public. And that's why I stood. I actually stood without an expectation that I'd win because I was brand new, and Mr. Bolt was very well known and very well respected, and rightfully so. And all I really wanted to achieve was to have a public open debate, and I achieved that, and I was proud of that. I got a sizable number of votes for a complete unknown, and I'm hoping that that level of support carries through to the present.
Okay, thanks. So I've asked everybody the same questions, really. And one that interests me is, what is your worldview? Like, how do you navigate the world? What lens do you look through? That might align with political theories. I'm not asking how you vote. I'm asking, well, hopefully the question explains itself, but your worldview, what does that look like for you?
Well, it's a very encompassing worldview. I have a deep experience of international travel, of course. I look at New Zealand's place in the world as a special location with a special culture and a special set of dynamics. I think that coming down to the local level, this is probably one of the most beautiful and best places in the world to live. I think it's incredibly important that we protect this valuable taonga that we have here, and that we don't spoil it, and that we grow our community in a way that's all-encompassing and positive for everybody. And I know that that's a very sort of idealistic kind of statement to make, and maybe I am a little optimistic in my worldview. I do believe that we can improve things here and stop the degradation that's going on, and I would like to contribute to that. So that's roughly my worldview. It's one that balances environmental concerns with cultural and social concerns, and concerns around the cohesion of the community and its well-being, and then couples that up with, well, how do we get there? How do we govern this? Let's govern it in a way that's going to deliver all of those things. So it's that kind of appreciation of where we sit in the overall scheme of things. And this takes us back really to my objective to get way better results out of Wellington. This district, although we're a long way from Wellington, we're terribly important, and we need to make Wellington understand that, and we need to make sure that this district is very present in Wellington.
Okay. And we touched on the kind of your views, but do they align with any kind of political theories or any kind of social issues as well that you can speak to?
Well, to be clear, I've been a person who has followed policy all of my life, and therefore I have often voted for political parties that never got into government. I've been a kind of a swing voter all my life, and that's because I chase ideas, I chase policies, I don't chase political flags. And I think that this is important. I think that I can stand back from the political arena. I am an independent, as you probably know. I'm running as an independent. And I think that independence is terribly important. I don't come with the baggage that's associated with, my ancestry or my commercial dealings or anything like that. I seriously stand here wanting to achieve the best possible outcomes that are policy focused, not politically leaning one way or the other. But it's fair to say I'm a centre right kind of guy. That's where I'm coming from. I'm a liberal. I'm a Democrat. I want to see the upholding of law and order, and I see a place for the private sector and capitalism.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. So I guess with some of our ideologies and worldviews that we each bring, we have certain mandates that are from central government, which is why I ask about the political spectrum and your worldview. The direction that local government is often led to is obviously mandated from central government. So whoever is in power will potentially sway or direct how we're going. And that is across a number of important infrastructural issues, such as water, for example. How do you see yourself engaging with the processes and the people at a local level when a lot of that control sits outside? So, for example, let's take water entities. There's only so much power that you will have as mayor. How will you use your power and your influence both with councillors, fellow councillors who are elected members and your team, and staff locally, and then also central government? So sorry, that's quite a big question.
Yeah, I think that it starts with an appreciation of what's being done at the community level. And one thing that we're very fortunate with in this district is we have a fabulous community of volunteers who are leading the charge on many very important issues. Healthcare is probably the better example rather than water. And so understanding, and water also, of course, has people with concerns, rightful concerns about what we're doing over the management of water. And I think we start with those community-led initiatives that are highlighting the objectives and the problems and the challenges that we face. And we embrace those, at least initially, and we engage with those community groups. We want those community groups' views reflected in the elected members of the council chamber, all of them. And so my approach is to have that grounding in what the community is focusing on and what it's seeking. I would like to see that expressed through the elected representatives at the council table. And then once we have that cohesion as much as we can possibly get, then we have a clear pathway to moving ahead with things that are out of our control or out of our direct control, which involve Wellington. And I know exactly where to go in Wellington to get stuff done. And I know how policy is developed. I know how papers are delivered. I've written papers that go to ministers of the Crown. All of the cabinet papers, I know all about the preparation of all of that. And I can go and I can negotiate outcomes that will deliver objectives in all of those areas. So I'm confident that we can couple up the action that's taking place at community level through the elected council and into the national realm to get things done that we want done, that we don't strictly control here on our own, as you say.
And you know, your ability to be able to do that is really important. We've now got some mechanisms by which to do that. So let's talk leadership for a moment. What qualities and characteristics in a person do you think are important for a mayor?
Well, first of all, the mayor needs to be able to listen to all points of view and not necessarily drive an agenda that's personally ideological. I think it's very important to take on board the different views of people in the community, including different views around the elected table of representatives. Then the job is, once those views have been collated and heard, try to bring people around to common objectives through negotiating processes, strive for consensus, and where consensus cannot be achieved, exercise democratic processes to arrive at, democratic outcomes. And once those democratic outcomes have been forged, then move ahead and implement them through the officials that we employ in the council and through direct negotiations with the New Zealand government.
Okay. And, at a local level, that's something that's been talked about a lot in terms of what good governance looks like, how governance operates at local authority. And we see poor and strong examples of that across our country and other countries. So just give us a taste of what good governance looks like, bearing in mind that obviously we're going to see change. We've got an outgoing CEO and incoming CEO in February of next year. So we've got an operational leadership change there, but we're also going to have obviously changes in elected members. So what does good governance look like to you?
Good governance is one that's open to the people who put us there, the people who elect the representatives. It's one that must remain open in the implementation of the policies that are designed to achieve the objectives of the community. And by that, I mean, we've ended up in a situation where, well, for a start, there's an imbalance in the power dynamics between the elected representatives and the officials we employ, and that would need to be corrected. There is a need to have elected representatives calling more of the shots. And then we need the officials who we employ to deliver policy. We need them to have a culture of openness and honesty with the community, and one where there aren't any surprises and where the community is fully aware of the liabilities and rewards that lie ahead, and things are not constantly brushed under a carpet. So, I fully believe in an open and transparent government system, one that is also, and this is terribly important, fiscally prudent, by which I mean we don't blow a budget. We don't go for, extraordinary mega projects and dream objectives. We need to remain grounded in reality. We need to make sure that what we're doing is efficient and effective, and it's financially prudent, and it can be paid for without delivering pain to the ratepayers. So all of those are terribly important components of a governance structure that will need to be forged out of what we have now. And you're right, we have a golden opportunity now. We're going to have a new CEO. If that CEO has a new mayor, the CEO will have very different writing instructions to the ones that prevail now. And that is something that has to be done immediately. And I would do that for the community if I'm elected.
Okay, and we haven't got much time left because we're both on time constraints today, but thank you for giving this time up. A question that I've asked everybody is, what role does ego play in politics? Because we know it plays one. It plays out at a global level, it plays out at a national level. And does ego get in the way? And do you have an ego?
I think everybody has an ego to an extent. I think, you can't camouflage that. It's a matter of managing egos, I think, and there will be challenges, not necessarily with myself, but I know that there will be people who have very strong feelings about things and are proud, very proud of the way they operate, and that can never be taken away from people, and it shouldn't be. I think my ego, well, obviously there's a bit of ego there, but I'm not standing on this soapbox just to sort of make a spectacle of myself and try and become famous. I've got no no real financial gains to be made here. I've got no sort of, ties to tribes that need to be rewarded. I'm here because I want to achieve something for the district. But let's be honest, I would be privileged to be the mayor. And for me, that would be an extraordinary achievement and one that I'm really looking forward to. So in some respects, that does tick a bit of an ego box. But that ego should be kept in a box as much as possible for the benefit of the wider community. I'm not there as an individual, really.
Okay, thanks. And let's finish off with, I originally framed the invitation as what could possibly go right. And as I've said to listeners, they'll have heard this if they've watched any others, is that was really around, I did the same podcast 3 years ago with just the mayoral candidates. It was more about the fact that a lot has gone wrong. We're in a place where we hope that we lift the game, and we also see that obviously at a societal and global level there are a lot of complexities and uncertain times, which makes it ever more challenging in the local government space. So in your view, what could possibly go right with you at the helm?
Well, as you say, we need to raise the bar. We need to be more visionary. We need to chase objectives that seem to be out of reach, but are not. We just need fresh energy to go for them. And what could go right is we could end up here with a restructured council that's been right-sized, that's open and honest in its dealings with the community. It's not going to be driving us all into bankruptcy with wild ideas. And we're getting runs on the board in Wellington in those three key strategic areas: healthcare, infrastructure, funding, and roading. And this, to me, would be a fantastic outcome. It's definitely exactly what I want to achieve, and that would be the right outcome.
Okay. Well, best wishes for your campaign. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for giving up your time for your community.
Thank you very much, Esther.
Thanks.